the exercise. Wait.
I guess when we're done.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Guess we need to approve the minutes from February 25th, 2025.
I move to approve the minutes.
I second it. All in favor? Okay. We need to approve the bills for March.
I make a motion we pay the bills.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Okay. On our discussion, Brian's not here today for the maintenance
He
report.
did give me a bullet thing that I can read really quick, or you can read it if you want. We signed the contract with Rocky Mountain Power for the street lights. On well number 3, he had the pump cold. It was in really bad condition, but it is being serviced and rebuilt. And it should be back in by the end of the month. He has been trying to work at the water buildup on Goshen Road, trying to regrade the sides so it'll drain off. It's been super soft and muddy.
Yeah.
Him and the county did inspect the bridge over there on Goshen Road that's in Basalt, and they said it's actually in good condition, but it's not a bridge, it's a culvert. So if we ever have to replace that, there's not a lot of funding that you can get for that, just so you know. Looks like he's been repairing rodent damage around the sewer lagoons. We also had to start sending the sewage down to Firth. Started on the 10th, and he thinks it'll be for at least 30 days. And then he is gonna start looking at bids for some summer road repairs, and we might still get some help from the county. We'll see how that goes. So that's what he's been working on.
Dusty Whited for the county was just out at Aberdeen Tuesday night, kind of giving, the spiel on some of the chip sealing and stuff they're going to be doing, and how, to match the price and things, and so I'm sure he's, Brian hasn't talked to him about that.
Yeah.
He's mentioned that to him, I'm sure it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked to him a little bit, but
Yeah.
have some more questions.
Okay. Update on the investments.
So I had printed off, I just wanted to show you what I did with our money because I moved it. So this sheet right here shows the deposit I made on the 24th of February in each account, and then I opened an investment account through the state treasurer for water, so you can see what the balance is on each one, and we'll start making some extra interest on that money instead of letting it sit.
And how much is the interest?
Right now it's roughly 4.5% interest. Each account's a little different.
So how much is that a gain? Let's see.
Well, by the time it'll sit in there for a whole month, it'll about double what we were pulling in.
Which is
That's excellent.
Roughly on general, we were making about $600 a month for the funds that were there. Now it'll go to about $1,200 because the amount of money has doubled. Sewer, same thing. And then water, we haven't been making anything on interest. So we were able to set it up starting with 20,000 that hopefully we can start adding to.
Thanks for doing that, Robin.
Yeah.
At least the city can use its resources to make a little money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then just as I was getting ready to leave my office, this email came in. So I didn't get it in your folder, but the LTAC grant that we were hoping for the 100,000 for next fiscal year, we did not get. And this is the list. If you want to take one and look at it, you're welcome to. So the red line is the cutoff. Firth got it again. They were right here. There's points right here. We're clear down here at the bottom is where we rated.
Did they give us a reason why? Did they tell us?
Because you got, every year you gotta reapply.
I think it has to do with activity.
Yeah.
We'll see. I haven't been able to talk to Husk or anything, so.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
So Kathy Nelson was supposed to be here.
This is
Yeah, I'm here.
representing.
Okay. She's not gonna be here?
Just last minute, Lori called me and said they wouldn't be able to make it. I don't know why. I think that's something.
Okay, so I guess we can present this issue and see what the council thinks about it.
Yeah, it's
So-
just a discussion right
Yeah,
now.
we'll just, and I thought I'd go around and visit some of my neighbors and ask them what they thought, just on a one-on-one.
Sure.
Because we have an ordinance that, so what they're trying to do is, we have a neighbor down the road that has an old trailer house that is falling apart. It's a poor shape.
Pretty unlivable.
Anyways, they can't afford to really do a whole lot, but there is assistance and help that is possibly available to remove the trailer and bring in another trailer. So in our ordinance, it says that if you remove a trailer,
Have to have a foundation.
you have to have a foundation, manufactured home or a house. And so because of the circumstances, what the question is can she be helped with pulling a trailer out and put another trailer back in the same spot with another trailer? So that's the
So
discussion.
variance on it.
So what exactly does our ordinance say? Does it have to, do we have specific, I mean,
It
There's a specific
specifies
word,
size,
manufactured home and size, it has to be on a
Year
permanent
on it, too.
foundation, yeah.
roof,
The
pitch.
Newer than
past 72.
or 86, anyway. And I assume this is an old trailer, it's been there forever.
Yeah.
Well, so there's two ways to go about it. The best way to do it is, obviously, as council, you guys set the rules, so you can, give grant variances to the rules. But you would wanna do that through the public, planning and zoning process, which would require a public hearing. But I don't know what the neighbors think about it, because you want her to upgrade. Cause I assume that would be a big improvement for the area. But you don't wanna open a can of worms that changes the rules for everybody.
And
Problem
that's
is,
the hard part.
yeah,
That's the hard
problem
part.
is,
We have a lot of people in a similar situation.
right, so you do it for one person, all of a sudden
And that's-
everybody else wants to do the same
And if you
thing.
go through the public hearing process for the variance, obviously you've gotta set your reasons why, so that, there is a difference to everybody. Yeah, I mean, so that's the hard part.
I think the hardest part is where it's part of the church. We don't want to show a favoritism either, because that's the way some people are going to take that.
'Cause
And so
what's
gotta
good
be
for the
really
goose is good
careful.
for the gander.
Gotta be careful with that. So I thought I would go around and visit some of the neighbors and just ask them what they thought and their opinions, and explain the situation and just kind of see, what do you guys think?
Didn't she come a few months ago and weren't they trying to sell part of it so they'd
They
have money?
They came, that was just before I came along. I know, so I
I think
wasn't
they
here.
split.
They did it for
split.
splitting it.
Yeah.
But that was the plan way before me. And with the idea to take the money, but I don't know that she really understood that with the ordinance, it wasn't like because it's not like they're gonna get a ton of money. I mean, to
Yeah.
sell that lot, so I don't know that there would be enough funds to actually put in a foundation, a new home, or newer home, you know?
Yeah.
So that was the question, and I don't know if that's where they got to, and then she backed out. I understand this has been a whole community effort helping her over the years, and I get it. She's staying with Lori right now. Lori and Mike and Kathy are staying with her. And I don't know what changed, because they were gonna be here and you know, just so they could listen. They're not mad or anything, they're just trying to understand what they can and they can't do. And I'm acting as, I haven't recused myself. They have asked me to represent them as a realtor. And I've said, well, I got kind of both things going on, I gotta be careful there too. So, but I said I can surely come to the meeting, find out where we're at and what we can do.
So how do we go about that?
Well, so if you wanna go about the variance process, then you would publish once, you know, ahead of a meeting, and then you have your public hearing. You gotta give notice to everybody within 300 feet, and, you know, and generally it's better if somebody goes and explains what's going on.
I was gonna say, probably the best thing to do is to start talking to neighbors.
Well, when you give that notice, because over the years, what you find out is everybody comes in with their hair on fire, because they don't know what's going on. Well, they just get this letter in the mail.
Can we just put a letter explaining something in the mail?
And that would be the notice you'd have to give them to have the public hearing, and then everybody comes and expresses, you know, the good and the bad. You know, and then council takes that all into consideration. And the big deal here is obviously, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah.
So you have to have a reason for why you're doing what you're doing. And if all the neighbors think that, yeah, that's an upgrade and everybody's fine, then you'll never get challenged on it. But if somebody's gonna say, you know, I mean, if somebody wants to, you know, that's not the ordinance and you're gonna do this for everybody, yeah, you gotta wade through that and make a logical decision about it.
Okay.
But yeah, you do have to go through that public hearing process if you're gonna do that.
So if you put out that letter, do you have to put out the ordinance also at the same time?
Probably.
Well, I mean, you're just saying a variance to that ordinance. You know, this is what we're doing. So the public hearing would be to gather information on whether or not a variance should be granted to that ordinance.
I do feel like, as I've talked to people, not necessarily about this, but other things, I feel like most people around here know that ordinance and understand it already.
Some
Well, if they've lived
not
around
so
here.
well because of what the previous mayor had let happen.
Yeah,
But,
I
you
just don't
know,
want things like
people
that
have
happening
had to move
again.
trailers off their property
Mhm.
because of the ordinance, so
yeah.
that could come back.
I feel like it could cause issues.
Mhm.
Well, you know, and the dilemma is, I mean, the example I always use is, you know, we had an A-frame up in Island Park years ago that the sewer system was a 55-gallon drum in the ground with holes in it. And when it got busy, it overflowed into the reservoir, you know, kind of thing. Well, when we were putting the septic in, we were 97 feet from the well and you're supposed to be 100. And the health district at first was like, well, no, you're gonna have to buy some ground. We're like, well, we're not doing that. I mean, we can't, the neighbors won't let that. So you need to approve the 97 feet or we're not gonna up the system, you know? And it took them, and they came, well, yeah, we want you to improve your system, and, well, then you gotta let us do it with the 97 feet, you know, I mean, and they finally did. Same thing kinda here. You want her to be able to improve her lot and clean it up and make it nicer, but it's against the rules, you know, I mean, you gotta figure out a reason to bend the rules. You know, so,
Well,
They're tough.
and it may be, I mean, we're just the main thing was she was absolutely in a very unhealthy situation. And so I guess in times past, she has said, I will not leave. And so at least we made some progress to get her out so we could try to figure out what can be done. But, yeah, you know, gone are the days when you could buy a reasonable double wide for 20 or 30,000 and put it in for 10, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I was just looking at some today and they want to sell them real bad, but they're over $100,000. You know, it's like, they want to really, it's hard.
The only thing that pops into my mind is something that's not so much of a city council issue, but is a community issue. is get a GoFundMe going for her, online GoFundMe. And she may be able to pick up the extra money beside from, selling the one piece, and the extra money be able to do it properly.
So what about like building a tiny house?
That's the other thing too, that you can do, selling that and
I feel
building a
like that's
tiny
something that
house.
we've kind of
And
asked about before, like where does that fall into like the
Can you
single
do that in
wide
Basalt?
But a
tiny
tiny home
house?
would be on a foundation.
yeah,
It's on a foundation.
yeah,
700-800 square feet.
Like really, a tiny home doesn't cost that much to build.
yeah, and
Less
that
than a
might be
trailer house.
cheaper, and she can still do the GoFundMe to make
Would that
sure
be
she be
allowed
able
to
to
be
get.
put in under the ordinance?
I think so, as long as it's
I
on
know-
a
I know-
foundation. And
yeah.
I don't think there was a square foot requirement on a stick-built home. We wanted to check that,
Just
I don't
had
know
to
why.
have a foundation of,
So I mean, because a tiny home, you're just talking a 600-700 square foot home kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be just her and
Well, trailer houses aren't
mine.
more than 500 or 600.
Yeah, 'cause
Square
you're
foot.
14 by 7.
They're about 9.
I mean,
9.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, it might be a little more than what this would be, but, again, if that's an option, that's at least something I can take back to them and say,
Yeah.
possibility.
Seems like that would be something that, I mean, if you gotta pay $100 for a used trailer home.
Well, I use that as an example. I think, you look, you probably get 50 or 60, but still, 20 for a foundation.
Still, by the time you transport it. And
Yeah,
set it all
exactly,
up,
that's 15
put the
or
water
more.
and sewer and everything together.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of companies that are doing the tiny homes. I'm not sure around here though. I haven't seen them on Facebook, on YouTube, doing videos. And all right, this is the one we built for so and so, and they talk about it a little bit. So that might be something she needs to be looked into as a tiny home. Does she need a 1 or 2 bedroom?
2.
2 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 1 bath.
Yeah.
Kitchen,
all she has
kitchen,
now.
dining room combined. Yeah, I've seen several of those on, plans for those being posted on Facebook.
Okay. I guess we can think about that, figure it out.
So her house is in livable. Why?
The roof has fallen in and the
This-
septic
We
system.
don't know
Sewer.
what the sewer's doing, but she has open sewage underneath the trailer.
It's in really
And then
poor
the
shape.
mold in the roof, and I understand Guy has tried to, or I don't know who.
Several people have tried.
Yeah, tried to fix it, yeah,
bunch of people trying to.
yeah.
Yeah, about the time you make all the effort to try to fix it, you might as well just.
The one
Build a
side of the
tiny
trailer
house.
is so bad from the south side. What's that?
The swamp cooler.
Did that run all the way? Anyway, there's no electrical even on that side. So we went and tried to put a dryer in, electric dryer, and it had been literally blowing all that lint underneath, nothing, going nowhere. And I said, Kathy, this is just a fire waiting to happen.
And so she's just moved in with her daughter now?
Yeah, yes, in Idaho Falls.
And they don't wanna make a residence there, they can't. It's difficult.
I don't know what's changed because they wouldn't even consider it. I think the bigger question was with Mike. Everybody can deal with mom, but not necessarily with
Yeah.
Mike. But Lori's agreed, Mike's there, and I don't know what changed, but
Sounds like it's a very temporary situation.
well,
I don't
at
know.
least it's time enough so we can try to figure out what options there are and kind of take it from there.
Okay.
So does she even have any money to be able to do anything on her own? She probably doesn't have anything on her own,
She doesn't.
so it's.
Whatever.
So
gets
she
on her
would
property.
rely on selling a piece of the property and
Yeah.
whatever donation.
That was the idea, is to sell that one to the west.
Yeah,
And on
And
that
then-
piece of property, is there room to even put anything on there?
a tiny house.
on that
It's
other
little,
piece.
but
Because of
yeah,
how
you
that
just wouldn't have
canal
much
is,
yuck, yeah.
I feel like isn't even any room
It
to.
would have to
able
be angled or something.
Is this canal access on the left or the right of the canal?
I have no idea.
On the
Because
canal lot,
it goes right through the
on-
center
It's on the
Yeah,
right,
I'm
it's
like-
on that side.
Somebody's gonna
access.
buy it for nothing. I mean, cause you can't put anything on it. Cause of where that canal is, I don't know.
Well,
Cause it's an odd spot, I mean.
it shows that it's just under a half an acre, but I can't tell if that means it takes,
I think they
if the
take part
canal
of the
has to
canal.
come clear out of that too. You know.
So, cause that's
Yeah.
an odd how it.
Yeah, by the time you offset from the road
Mhm.
and then the canal, that puts it, not much space there.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's not buildable, it's literally worth
Yeah.
not much.
Okay, well, I guess you can keep in communication with them and we can see how that goes.
I will do.
All
Thank you.
right.
So at this point, we'll just, so did the neighbors say yay, nay?
We
Haven't
haven't,
talked
we
yet.
haven't
Oh,
talked, I mean, this,
oh, I see.
we're just bringing that up now. And so we can, I can go around and visit, I don't mind doing that. And then ultimately it's up to the council,
Sure.
their decision, but we can
And I
send,
think
we
you
can
guys
send
should
out a
talk to
letter.
people too, so you know how they feel.
Do that in the public hearing.
Oh, do that as public
Yeah.
hearing?
Mm-hmm. Because your public
It
hearing is
was-
based upon the facts that come in there.
Oh,
The mayor can go around, you know,
Oh.
he has to be careful because he's the tiebreaker if there's a typo.
oh,
But yeah, the whole point of the public hearing is to get the facts and the, you know, things for
Mhm.
council to consider. So you don't want a lot of ex parte communications going on.
Why don't we just do that? Just go ahead and put a letter out, just go through the effort. And let's see
Start
what the
there.
community
Yeah, because we have
says.
to do something. If she's got raw sewage coming out of there.
Yeah, it's pretty.
so if we put a letter
Something's
out
gotta
though, are we
change.
doing a public hearing?
If you're sending a letter to do a public hearing, then yeah, because you gotta post it in the paper and then they'll send
That's
a
the
letter.
point
out.
of the letter, is the
Yeah,
public
just do it.
hearing.
I think we just have the public hearing and then we can get people's input and then
Okay.
we don't have to necessarily, I mean, I don't know what she wants to do. Maybe she's gonna decide to stay living with her daughter.
Kind of makes
They don't
sense.
A lot will
Vote
depend
on
on,
on the variance at that meeting, do they?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, so they get, you can do it as a fact-finding public hearing and then put off voting until,
That's up to council.
Yeah.
Whichever way they wanna do that.
So what's the difference between that?
Well, so you can do your public hearing and then think about it for a month and then come back and give your logic of why you're deciding what you're doing. You don't have to, I mean, you can vote that night. The only thing, so then you have to have findings of facts, which, you know, then I draft your logic of why you made the decision that you did. That would be approved, has to be approved in another month because I don't know what you're gonna decide, so I can't draft it ahead of time. So it does take a month or two, you know, a meeting or two to get it all done.
Okay.
But, yeah, those decisions have to be in
give
writing.
her a little more time.
at least as far as the actual issue, you know, no one's using and thinking this, the weather's changing a little bit, so we thought if we could even get in and just winterize the trailer and I think this weekend or over the next week or two, they're gonna get what she needs out. So that would just leave.
Seems like they ought to just sell the property and give that money to her daughter and just, you know.
Well, but
That's
there's
a
a big
whole other
difference
issue.
between no buildable or very minimal buildable to something that could be replaced in terms of value. I mean, if the lot to the side is not even buildable, it's just a piece to put a cow on or something, you know, it's just,
John?
Yeah.
Do you know they took that alternate school out there in Blackfoot and out by the interstate, they moved all those double wides out there.
you know, I did see those,
I think there's 4 of them out there.
just right before the exit there, somewhere in there. Yeah,
No, those were school rooms, so they have heaters and everything in.
sure,
Need a little interior work to petition, but they are double wides and they have the overhangs. You know, they're sitting there and they've been there since they built a new school, so.
yeah, okay.
Do they have plumbing for like a restroom? Okay.
Yeah, they have his and her restrooms. That's when the schools were cool.
So here's a question that maybe you can ask based on the ordinance. See, the way I understand it is that's the piece where the trailer is now, it's tiny. I mean, we're talking, I think it's like is it?
Those are small double wides.
Yeah, but isn't there, could that be the grandfathered part? I'm thinking it's 1/4 acre, but maybe I'm wrong.
It is
I
small.
think the ordinance is half acre or larger.
Now.
Yeah,
But
but there was
Yeah,
a variance
to
that they
say,
gave her
we gave a
because,
variance on that before, but that's a lot easier variance to do, because then you're keeping.
Because you're upgrading.
You're upgrading, and the home standards are still the same.
Yeah,
So then everybody has to comply with the home standards, and you're going to have very few small lots in town. So that's a lot easier variance to justify than waiving all of the building requirements.
yeah.
Just from from a practical standpoint, back to opening the can of worms. Cause you're only gonna have a few funny lots in town versus how many single.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll check on that. I've been
And
meaning to
believe
actually to
that's
see.
through that, I forget what the school name is.
The schools are selling them?
Yeah, I think they're the schools that own
In
them.
the charter school,
Oh,
those
okay.
are probably very reasonable.
I'm sure they are.
Okay.
Now, does Mike bring in enough income that could help pay for?
So, and again, I don't know Mike got a degree and was supposed to start teaching to where he would have some reasonable income. Right now it's kind of more of assisting an elderly person, and I don't think it's much over minimum, honestly.
Yeah.
So I haven't asked him, but it's not much.
I just didn't know what kind of work he did, if.
Yeah, no, he does
payments
have,
and
he
stuff.
went ahead and got a degree, but he just didn't take that next step. Yeah. Well, thank you. I'll do some checking and then you, so
So we'll
what
do a
is the
public hearing.
time process? Yeah, if you do that, is
For
that
fact
like a
finding.
month and then another month or
And the lead.
Take a couple
Probably at
months.
least
Maybe
2 months.
2 months?
Maybe 3.
Yeah, because you gotta put the letter out and the notice and then,
Yeah,
go through the whole process, so.
and you just meet once a month?
About 3 months.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can do it in 2, and if there was a time crunch, you can always post a special meeting and approve the findings real quick. But
Okay. And how would I find out if that piece to the west,
I know the county has a map. Oh, let's see.
yeah, but would they just defer me back to the city?
No, I can, let me see if I can pull it up.
Does that
County should
map over
have
there show much of it? It doesn't have the sizes. Let's see.
Well, but I
Taxes
think it's,
owed and everything.
yeah, it shows, it's been split. They still have it under one tax number, but I just can't tell if the canal takes a chunk out of that 0.43 or 0.47 or whatever.
You might get hold of the canal company and ask them which side, because on my father-in-law, he's across the street, his service is on
Okay,
the little side.
yeah,
And I
Okay.
know that fence line twists in the back.
Usually the way canal easements are is it's a part of their property, but it's an easement
Yeah.
for the canal company. They usually don't own the ground. at
And
least
that
in
would
Teton
be-
County.
that would be Snake River.
Yeah, I think it's Christensen.
Are they gonna financially be able to afford or receive help to, if they can take the trailer out and put another one up, are they gonna be able to afford to do that?
Now, there's a
So-
problem.
With the family, I think so. I think that's something that they could all come together on and would because it's small, I think.
I don't think the county will let you move that trailer. I think you have to tear it down on the property.
Just piece by piece.
These two
Track hole.
sections are hers.
Mm-hmm.
And then all
Easy
this
peasy.
But
is
I don't
now.
think you can move it.
Now, which two are
you
there?
can't put it
The
anywhere.
You can't put it
697.
anywhere, so you
At a
can't move it.
certain
You gotta
age,
tear it
yeah,
apart.
you
This
can
one
just-
show.
And haul it off. So it's non-movable. You
Says
have
it's
to
assessed at
disassemble right
0.75.
on site.
then you gotta redo all
I'm
the
thinking though, they're
water
like
and
going
sewer,
right down the
electrical.
middle of the canal, that's what Brian and I were,
Mm-hmm, I think it does too.
But 0.75,
that's what it says.
that's different than 0.4. I don't know where I
So
got
the
the
other
0.43.
piece,
Usually with canals, they run that center line down it and they have a prescriptive easement.
On each
I
side.
think where her
Usually
trailer
20
sits
feet.
now is the smaller piece.
Yes,
So this says 0.75 too. Unless
that's total between the two of
between
them.
the two.
Probably.
That's what it's gonna say.
Okay, well, thanks for taking time and I'll find out more.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Gil, you wanted to talk about some brooms for the streets.
Yeah, update information, all right, what was mentioned last time about it wearing out in one trip to the city. I was talking to one of the companies and they said, that's operator abuse. Because a broom should last 120 to, or more, depending on the makeup of the broom, miles. You know, and for it to be wore out in 10 miles is the first one, basically, so you have the road, the broom should just be barely flicking. And if someone's pushing it down like this, trying to muscle it, that's gonna wear the broom out in less than half the time, or even more than that. Because after a little bit, all of a sudden now they're down this much, wearing this much of the broom. And so I was looking around prices. You can get some cheap ones for about $34,000 to $5,000. Or you can get the good ones from either Titan, Everything Equipment, or All Attachments. Everything Equipment is the best company out there, and everybody offers 72-inch wide brooms for to go on the tractors. Everything Equipment also offers, you know, besides the 6-footers, 7-foot and 8-foot ones. The 8-foot one is just under $10,000. But it's also a 32-inch diameter broom. And they said it's supposed to last about at least 120 miles of proper use. And one of the first sentences on their website, it needs finesse to operate this type of equipment, and it needs to be just barely flicking, not dragging.
I think the other issue with the broom is the practicality of, like, if you
Yeah, and
get
that's
a whole bunch of snow, how much does it really move?
well,
If you're just
all right.
flicking,
Well, you see, no, that's flicking the surface. That's not what's above the surface of the road. So you're not, the problem that wears it out is rubbing on the road, not moving the snow.
I think part of the problem is number one, to have a broom, you gotta have a tractor to run it.
Right.
And then
But there are
number
some of
two-
them that are like all attachments has one that bolts onto other tractors, and I'm trying to get a price out of them.
I think number two is like how fast it can go. And the tractor that we currently have, even though it is old, it moves right down the road pretty quick, where
Right.
the broom is pretty slow.
The broom is gonna be like a street sweeper
Yeah,
speed going
it's pretty
around.
slow.
And the thing,
ultimately, we're trying to get out of using the tractor for snow.
We would
Yeah.
like to just get a real plow.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
and the
the
other,
big snow, you won't be able to do much with the
No.
broom, would ya?
so before, I wouldn't recommend the city just buy it out of budget, but try to get a grant, and only buy it if they can get a grant.
Yeah.
That way it's, you know, you get a grant, oh, we need to get this and that, and I don't know, it's, you know, for the tractor has enough hydraulic on it to, if it had a quick connect on it, you could put it on that and you know, get the, you know, like the 8-foot wide one and, you know, go around. Now, what, the thing is though, if someone's driven on the snow first, all you're gonna do is remove the loose snow, not the track where they drove. You're not trying to scour the pavement. That's where the problem is. People try to scour to get that off, and that's where they wear the broom out real quick.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's like a whisk broom. You're just flicking it out of the way.
Yeah. Yep, I've seen them in operation before. Not in snow, but I can only imagine that it would be really slow and it wouldn't do very deep snow.
I've seen videos of them doing like, you know, 6-8 inches deep with it. But yeah, it's slow. They're just going along, just like you would with a snow blower. And which is the other thing, which is cheaper, but it also throws it a lot farther And that's more of an issue that was brought up last time, was throwing stuff.
Throw it all over everybody's cars.
And hitting a window or something, or, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just thought I'd update that information, what I found out on that. And, if, you know, if the city can find a grant somewhere that they might be able to apply to that, that's an option. Just give me options.
Yeah, I think Brian is leaning towards more of a truck with a plow on it, like what Perth has, and
Yeah.
I watch the tractors up and down the road, and I'm like, that is pretty productive, the way that works.
But our
It's
tractor's
fast.
wearing out.
It is wearing out, but
Yeah.
time versus money, you put a guy in the tractor that goes super slow, you're costing more money to the city, and then it's not getting done, it's taking forever.
Yeah.
And so it's always time versus money too.
Then it's also how much is wearing on the street.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of input to figure out.
Okay, anything else?
You're just here?
I'm just here for the fun.
For the last of giggles and entertainment, huh?
Yeah, to answer questions, to figure out about the sewer, I guess.
Well, I heard from LTAP.
Yeah, I tried to find that on the website, so I'll have to look at that when we're down here.
I printed off the list.
Well, I guess that's everything.
Do these guys have anything?
I think that's it. Motion to adjourn.
It's the crazy lady in the back.
I'm good.
Crazy ladies on the phone.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you.